I wanted to create an opportunity where people could come and share their stories. And when we open up our hearts, we allow others to help carry our loads as we, in return, help carry theirs. And the more we share our stories, the braver and the stronger we become. Hi, welcome to Epic Interview. Today, I have a guest who is a phenomenal woman. She brings heart, joy, and authenticity to every space she enters. She is an inclusive yoga instructor who shares her life. She does it openly. She leads with deep compassion, and she has a gift for making everybody feel valued, seen, empowered. Her beauty radiates from the inside out, and her energy is impossible not to feel. I'm so excited to welcome Erica Jacobs, one of my favorite yoga instructors.
I mean, I think they know everything about me already, so we can just wrap this up. That was a fantastic intro. I'm honored. Thank you.
How are
Alicia.
you?
I am doing well.
Thank you for being here.
Oh, I'm so grateful to be here. This is so exciting.
Thank you. Okay, well, we'll jump right into it.
Okay.
What drew you to yoga? What inspired you to become an instructor?
Well, I have been teaching fitness for 19 years. I started teaching cardio kickboxing when I was 19 years old.
Okay.
I come from a lineage of fitness people. By lineage, I just mean my mom. So she taught jazzercise in the 80s with the thong leotard and the slouch socks and all that stuff.
Okay.
So I grew up watching my mom, step up on platforms and teach people. So I always knew I wanted to do that, like be in front of people and make people, listen to me and just talk at them forever. I didn't know what that would look like though. And about 10 years into teaching, I'd been teaching kickboxing for almost 10 years at that point. My body was starting to hurt, even though I was still pretty young, but yes. I mean, those moves take a lot out of you.
On your knees?
On your knees, and my mom
ankles?
was, yeah, exactly. On my knees and my hips and the low back and
yes.
the shoulders,
I can attest to that.
Right? And I was like, all right, if I want to keep on doing this for a long time, I probably need to expand my own personal practice as well. And, I watched a lot of, people, fitness instructors who had gone before me, talk about their injuries and whatever. And I'm like, all right, well, let me see if I can pivot and add some things to my repertoire. So I never really was drawn to yoga. There was a new studio that had opened up near where I lived and the gym where I taught. So they had a free week situation. So I went there, and I mean, it's such a lackluster answer because because I wasn't, so many people that I know will say something like, oh, after my first yoga class, I was hooked.
Yeah.
I couldn't get enough of it. That is not the case.
not
Alicia,
your story.
That's not my story. I went, a few times, and then I disappeared for a while, and I didn't really, it wasn't really like my thing. I think a lot of it too was it was very physically challenging for me. I remember downward facing dog being incredibly hard because you're supporting the majority of your body weight on your hands.
Yes.
And wrists
Yeah.
and it's a very big ask for the body. And so, and I started out by doing hot yoga. In fact, actually my very first yoga class was a Bikram yoga class.
Wow.
So I went from zero
to the most challenging.
to carpet for 90 minutes.
Wow.
And just being in a hot box and not knowing what the heck was going on. But over time, I liked it enough to where I liked doing it as a student. Okay. And then my mom and a lot of other people in my life encouraged me to do the teacher training. And it really was like dragging my feet. I mean, they were like begging me to do the teacher training, and I finally did it. And honestly, it took me until about a year or two, maybe even 3 years into teaching yoga, where I actually started enjoying yoga. It takes me a while to love something. But when I do, I think that's how I ended up in your kitchen.
That.
Yeah. It wasn't quick. It took a long time.
So your family is really responsible.
Yeah. I mean, my mom and I are estranged, but I will say that like the one thing I'm grateful for is that she threw down a pretty penny to help me pay for the training. She really, really believed that I would be a good yoga instructor.
And she was right.
Moms are sometimes right. I have to give it to her. They sometimes are right.
She was right. Okay, so can you tell me, after you fell in love with it, how has it influenced your life beyond the physical practice of it?
Well, on one hand, I've grown deeply fond of studying yoga philosophy. And yoga is, at its core, historically, it is a personal freedom and collective liberation practice. Like, that is what it is.
I agree.
And, learning about the principles and the philosophy and, yoga is just one avenue to sort of cultivate a spiritual understanding of kind of things outside of us. So, right. So whether we talk about Jesus and we go to church about it, or we're talking about yoga, or we're, talking about Buddhist, ideology, whatever it may be, yoga has influenced the way that I live my life and relate to people, the way I look at myself, the way I engage with doing the dishes and telling the truth. Like, it's just the spectrum of it's impacted how I move through the world.
Nice. Okay.
It helps me tell the truth about who I am, and it also helps me listen to other people tell the truth about who they are, even if I might take it personally or feel threatened by it, or I don't agree, or, something like that. It's helped me really kind of see what I don't see that I actually don't know very much. And have compassion.
Okay. Can you tell me or share one moment when yoga has shifted the way you see yourself and your capabilities?
Yes. I am a performer from birth. I like being in front of people. I like talking to people. I've used to put on plays for my stuffed animals as a kid, and so that has always been a fundamental part of who I am. And I think I've channeled that through teaching fitness. That's kind of where I've been for the last almost 20 years. But how I think how it's true, like a moment that's truly shifted the way I look at myself, is that figuring out how to divorce myself from being a leader and being a performer. Trying to find the distinction between, do I want to say this or do this thing so that people will kind of be impressed with me, or kind of be proud of me or like me, the performer in me, or do I really want to share this moment with people and impart this thing on them, and still stay true to what I love and how I want to express it. But I think that over time I've become a lot more grounded in how I want to share that. So finding, like the question being a moment that yoga shifted the way I see myself and my capabilities. I know that I'm a good speaker, but I think that I've needed to learn how to be a better listener.
Oh, wow.
I know that I like being liked. I think I've had to learn how to be okay with not being liked, because, and this is so hard, and I barely believe the words coming out of my mouth. It's still settling, but I had a mentor say to me a long time ago, it's just as problematic for our students to love us as it is for them to hate us. And I'm like, I don't know.
I know. But sometimes I'm in class like,
I
hate this moment, but I love you.
Like it. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, okay, how do I release people to the dignity of their own experience and their own feelings and their own opinions about me or the practice or themselves? And that is, I mean, in yoga, we call it a parigraha. We call it non-attachment. We call it sort of like the releasing of everyone to their own thing so that everyone is free, right? We come back to that personal freedom, collective liberation thing, and I've really had to set my students free. They can come to my class, they cannot come to my class, and how do I not take that personally?
I think take a break.
Yeah, they can take a break. Yeah, which is what I want. I want everyone to be free. So how do I impart the principles and the deep-seated belief I have that everyone gets to be free without taking it personal when the freedom doesn't include me.
Yeah.
I think that's the lifelong work for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I always take something from your class and I can apply it to, real life. So I think it's like, it's a way, especially when I take the 6 a.m. class, a way to just set your day, set your intentions, for the day. But what resonated with me is that you used a term that I also use. It's called the power of pause. I remember you using that. And I'm like, oh, she said that too. Like, I think that it's so important that we sometimes take a break and rejuvenate and refocus. And so that's something that I've also been practicing inside of the room, that hot room, as well as outside
Hot as
of
hell,
those doors.
you mean? Yeah.
Basically, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are some of your values and principles that guide the way you teach your yoga class?
Discernment over dogma. I think that yoga has the potential to be very dogmatic, right? I think depending on any given instructor's or practitioner's interpretation of it, there's a lot of, are we allowed to cuss on this?
Be yourself.
There's a lot of bullshit that is, you know me. I mean, I don't know, the swearing yoga teacher around here, but there's a lot of misinformation and a lot of misunderstanding, in my opinion, about what it means to teach yoga and what this practice is. And some of my values are using discernment over these hard facts or these hard sort of dogmatic rules. There's a lot in the yoga tradition that talks about an example of being non-harming as maybe not consuming animals and going the vegan or vegetarian route. I think that's great for people that works for. I'm not here to tell people how to eat.
Yeah.
I'm not here to tell people that they need to eventually one day get into a handstand to be a yoga practitioner. Discernment is one of my core values. Safety is a core value. Deep internal listening, detachment from what I'm saying in the room versus what you're feeling in your body. That's very, very important to me.
Oh my goodness.
Authenticity is important to me. And also restraint. Also the practice of, yes, I'm here to be authentic, but I'm also here to curate an experience for people that needs to be about them.
Yeah.
So I think that comes back to discernment and balancing. All right, I'm here to be my authentic self, but not at the expense of people needing to take care of that.
So true.
Yeah.
So true. And then since you have classes, like sometimes your classes are so packed, we have to make room for people.
Yeah.
People of different levels. You may have a beginner and then you may have someone who practices every day. So finding that balance to make each of those individuals, feel important and get what they need out of the class without making the other one feel, horrible. So I want to share this experience, and the instructor will remain nameless.
Okay.
So I'm in class and she says, "Alicia, don't stop. What you're doing will affect the other people." And I was so angry. Like, first of all, she didn't know me, so we didn't have a personal relationship, and I have an injury. Like, I could not do what you're asking me to do. So I think taking into consideration that everyone is at different levels, and even if you are an expert, you can have a bad day.
Yeah.
But making everyone feel, inclusive, I guess, and that they're getting what they need out of the class is so important, and that's what I get with you every time I go. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you for that.
I'm sorry that you had that experience too. I think as instructors, I'm not a movement instructor apologist by any means, but I do know that when you're teaching a room full of people, I think things fly out of our mouth that if we paused
For a moment.
For a moment. And we thought about maybe our intention or maybe, you know, what we're actually trying to say, then it would have landed better. I mean, bodies are really important. I think like one of the, not to trail off or anything, but I just want to say that, you know, one of the things that the principles and the deep-seated belief that I keep coming back to is that bodies are a big deal. And, you know, as a movement instructor, people are putting their trust in me and in each other in a way that is incredibly vulnerable. You know, we're all coming into a common space next to people, especially to your point in packed classes, to move next to people who are fundamentally different than us. They vote different. Yes. They drive different. They parent different. If religious they choose to parent, religious beliefs, family dynamics and different backgrounds and all kinds of things. What we're seeing online might be different than our algorithms are different. I mean, but we are choosing to come into a common space to move together and breathe together. And oh my goodness, like if that is not the miracle already, there's nothing more for me to do. Y'all have already done the work. You've already said, I want to participate. And that's enough. So when I look at a student and I see them taking a break, I actually celebrate the people who take a break over the people who are popping up into a handstand. Not that one is better than the other, but everybody gets to know that they've already done the hard part. They've already said, they've already shown up, not just for themselves, but for other people. You could do this alone in your living room. Yeah. You could do this on YouTube. Yeah. When you come into a space and you say to yourself, I don't want to be alone when I move my body, wearing next to nothing. I have nothing more to say to you. You've already done it. Unless you're about to break your hip. Right. I will celebrate what's happening. And actually, I teach yoga sculpt as well. So it's yoga with weights. Constantly saying, this is not a weightlifting class. This is a community building class with the option to use weights. Because first and foremost, this is why we're here. We are here to be together. Yeah. And secondly, yes, we're here to move our body. That's pretty important. We got to move the meat suit. Oh, but
yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. So you mentioned discernment a little bit earlier. Yeah. Do you think your discernment grew as the older you got, the more experience you had? Yeah. Okay, because I did take into consideration that this instructor was very young. Yeah. And I said, you know, the way her body moves, she's thinking that everybody should be moving that way. But the older you get, you realize that people are going to suffer injuries. Yep. People may have health issues that are challenging or that they're addressing. You know, they're on medication. You know, there's just so many more things to view or to look at, you know, when you get older that younger people don't necessarily value.
I started doing this when I was 19. I had women in my classes going through perimenopause. Exactly. That I was like, what even is that? I don't even know what that is. Why can't you just keep like kicking into the high air? Right. You know, or like, you know, being in the heat.
Why are your joints sore? Like,
why? Where I'm just like doing the can, you know, and now that I'm in my late 30s, I'm starting to get that now. I get the sensitivity to the heat. I understand injuries more. All of that comes with time and the releasing of your own ego. Yeah. And I mean, this is not a podcast imparting wisdom onto like younger instructors, but oh gosh, there should be one because, you know, when you're young and you teach movement-based classes, you can only teach from your experience. Yeah. And youth is wasted on the young, as the saying goes. And so I've definitely been there. And I also want to say, because I think this is important, we're always leading from not only our own experience, but our own sort of beliefs and sometimes our misbeliefs. Yeah. I mean, I have absolutely said horrible, horrible things in my classes when I was in the throes of my own personal eating disorder. Mm-hmm. I had hard and fast rules that I was living by, and I was saying all manner of things in those rooms. Mm-hmm. And there have been renaissance after renaissance, and the way that I show up in my rooms now probably totally won't be the way that I will show up when I'm 48. Right. You know? Right. So I think a lot of that, like, discernment is a value, but also self-compassion, as painful as that can be, like knowing that I probably won't say the things that I say now in 10 years, because I can't really imagine what that would be, because I think I'm doing it well now.
Right.
I'm doing it right now. I got it. It's locked in. It's dialed in. Maybe not so much.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally agree with that. So, my next question, how do you create such a welcoming and inclusive environment for your students? And you mentioned it earlier, because everybody comes from different backgrounds. Everybody has, different abilities. So do you make a conscious decision, to do that? How do you cultivate that kind of environment?
I have come to know and believe that our bodies are not things to be fixed. So right away, I'm not teaching people from a position, from a perspective that they could fix something or do something better. I really like my students as they are. And so refinement in my cues is how I feel like I can include everyone. Like I speak more to sensation rather than the body, or I'll teach to the bones rather than like all the other stuff outside of the bones. So like, for example, if I have my students in a posture, I might say stack your knee over your toe for safety, for joint safety. But then I might also say, like, let's soften the eyeballs a little bit, right? I might also say expand, like find some freedom in your rib cage by relaxing your belly. Like, how great would that feel?
Yeah.
I like to cue to like things that we can sense versus things that we can see, because that helps me as an instructor keep everybody safe, because I'm not nitpicking. I'm not looking at you through the lens of like, well, how big is this person's body, or they might not be able to do this thing. I'm also looking at limb length. I learned in my own practice that there are certain postures I will never be able to do because my upper arm is simply too short.
Right.
It has nothing to do with who I am as a
Ability.
person or ability. So I'm always trying to find little ways, or sometimes I'll stop the class and be like, okay, my favorite thing to do actually, because I'm 5'1" on a confident day, 5 feet on a regular day. And I have short legs and short arms, and we're just a little, I'm not short-winded, I'm just like short-legged, right, and short-armed. And I love, with permission, using one of my students who was very tall, very lanky, very long limbs, to show them that, like, okay, look, this woman's hips start at my nipples. We're not the same. We're not going to have the same ability outcome. We're not going to navigate this posture differently. So, okay, what is the point of this posture? Okay, we're trying to find rotation in the spine, period. How do we find rotation in your spine? With the limbs that you have. Oh, great, this is how you can find that. Yeah. So the way that I include people in my classes is I'm always thinking, with the postures and the sequence that I'm teaching, why am I doing this? What am I trying to accomplish? And can I speak to that for everybody, not the aesthetic of it? I'm speaking to the benefits of this posture or this sequence. If I'm like, we're just trying to get your heart rate up a little bit, right? To just, keep your cardiovascular. You don't need to be doing burpees and jumping up and down. You can jog in place. You can bounce. You can tap your heels.
Right.
You can do
options.
Breath work. Like, there are a million different ways, and I'm always reminding students, your body wants to meet you where you are. It wants to accommodate you. Yoga comes to you, not the other way around. So,
I like that.
I don't care what the shape looks like. I just want you to reap the benefits of what we're trying to do.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay, so I think that names are very, very important. I think when you take the time to learn someone's name, that you show value towards them, that you respect them, that you just thought enough of them to want to engage in just a respectful manner. I know some people who have known me for years, or we'll see each other in social settings. I've told them my names about 20 times, and they'll always ask me, what's your name again? And at some point, I'm like, okay, you don't want to know my name because I've told you 20 times and you are still asking me, so you don't want to know my name. Or maybe it's purposeful. Maybe you want me to know that you don't care enough about me to know my name. You learned my name so quickly, and you say my entire name almost every time I walk into the room. I'm like, oh, that's me. I'm valued here. So, and it's not just me, Erica. You learn everyone's name. Why do you feel it's important to do that?
Because a person's name is their favorite sound in the English language or any language ever.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
The end. That's all. No.
That makes sense.
Your name is your identity. It is how you are regarded. It's how you're addressed. It's how you introduce yourself. You lead with our name verbally. I mean, names are important, and people, I feel more comfortable knowing your name because I feel like then we can trust each other really quick.
Yeah.
Because then I can get your attention really quick because I know who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
It's such a core part of your identity, and everyone deserves to have their name said out loud to them. I always think about, like, what are some of the ways that people don't experience connection in perhaps in their daily life because I don't know what everyone is going through. And you know, there are some people who never hear the sound of their name. Or sometimes, you know, the sound of their name came from anger, you know, maybe in their household if they were yelled at a lot.
Yeah.
You know, maybe people don't hear their name. I know this is so interesting. I talk to my friends who are married all the time, and they say, I haven't heard my own name uttered by my spouse in years.
So
it'll be babe,
dear,
honey, dear, whatever, which is fine, like cute, like little, you know, pet names. But the sound of your name and hearing someone say it, it's just a special little gift that we can give to each other, and names are important.
It really is.
And especially as a white woman who teaches yoga and also, you know,
all the different names.
All the different names. Yeah, there are different names and different pronunciations and different spellings, and people of different ethnicities and races who have varying names. That's very important, and I didn't learn that until much later in my teaching career. That was its own renaissance, right? Knowing that, you know, part of the way that white supremacy thrives is people like me not taking the time to learn to pronounce names that aren't as common as, you know, Erica or Katie, you know. So that's very important to me.
Thank you so much. It really makes a difference. It really does. And I don't want to focus on the negative, but it made me realize how some people really don't care about you. If I've told you my name 20 times, literally, then it may be
it's not on your priority list, and that's a bummer. That's sad, and that's
so you tell me exactly what you think.
Alicia Bonner, let me tell you something. I am grateful to know your name, and I will shout it from the rooftops. Me and the first and last names. I keep telling my students, I'm like, next I'm going to start shouting out your social security number. Like,
or throw a middle name in there.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, middle names are next.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Okay, another question. And we may have touched on this earlier, so tell me if there's something different. But in what ways has yoga changed you as a person?
I have struggled a lot with codependence, I would say. And I think that teaching yoga has helped me to be less of a rescuer and less of a people pleaser, even though I want to please the people. And you're right, we did touch on a little bit like, okay, am I really trying to impart this thing totally just without any hidden agenda? Or am I trying to perform my way into people liking me? And I think that as a movement teacher, a lot of people will look at us, not only believe that we can save people, but that we will save people.
Yeah.
And teaching yoga has changed me as a person by drawing good boundaries, not to wall people off, but to actually keep everybody safe emotionally. If that makes sense. I can't rescue you, and I can't save you, and I can't fix you, and I can't diagnose you, and I can't cure you. You know, it's that saying, like, I'm not your guru. I'm really just a guide. And releasing myself of that pressure to be regarded as that has been fundamental in all other areas of my life, where if someone doesn't ask for my opinion or my advice, then I have to also be okay with that. Yeah. And then I also need to be okay with someone really looking to me and relying on me for their sense of, like, safety and security and sense of wholeness, which I can't do either. So finding sort of, I think being in a position of leadership invites you real quick to the table of making sure you know you can't save people and not wanting to.
Yeah.
Because that can get really, really
Cannot
messy.
save the world.
No. And these are, like, this is so vulnerable. Truly, you're wearing next to nothing. We're in skin tight clothes, and you're moving your body in all kinds of ways that you're not moving it in Whole Foods.
Right.
You know, at the post office, like, we're in here, we're having this experience. And so, one thing the thing about yoga that has changed me is, like, I've become more patient, and I've reduced performativity. And just, like, I try to just drop into, like, just me.
Nice.
Yeah.
So good. Well, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate your dedication, to this practice. And I'm sure you didn't know before I told you the impact, that you have, and the things that we learn in there and that we listen to and that we absorb, that we can take, with us when we go outside of of that heated room.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much. You are really, really appreciated. Is there anything else you want to add before we leave today?
I would just want to say to whoever is watching this and listening to this that I'm so, first of all, grateful and honored to be here. And one thing I want to remind myself and anyone who is receptive is that when you move, you become movable.
Yes.
When you move, you become movable. And also, when you are still, you allow things to move through you. So I think as a movement teacher, I'm always, we're doing movement, right? Like, that's my job. My job is to teach people how to move their body and become a little more smart in how they move. But also that finding that stillness and finding that inner quiet and the power of the pause actually helps us become channels for what needs to come through us, because we're vessels.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alicia Bonner. We did it. Cut.